First contact. The starship Horizon breached the atmosphere of Zeta Reticuli, its sleek hull gleaming in the light of an alien sun. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood at the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling azure clouds below. After years of preparation and months of interstellar travel, humanity was about to make first contact with an alien civilization. "All systems nominal, Captain," reported Lieutenant Y. Chen, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "We're on approach to the designated landing zone." Elena nodded, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Take us in, Lieutenant. Nice and easy." As the horizon descended, the clouds parted to reveal a landscape that took their breath away. Crystalline spires rose from the ground, their facets refracting light in mesmerizing patterns. Between these structures, lush forests of magenta and indigo stretched as far as the eye could see. "It's beautiful," whispered Dr. Amelia Okafor, the mission's lead xenobiologist. "I never imagined." Her words were cut short as the ship's sensors pinged, indicating movement on the ground. Elena leaned forward, squinting at the display. "Are those the Zetans?" The alien beings gathered at the landing site were unlike anything they had expected. Standing at least 8 feet tall, the Zetans had bodies that seemed to shimmer and shift, as if made of living mercury. Their heads were adorned with elaborate crests, and multiple limbs extended from their torsos, each ending in delicate, multi-jointed appendages. As the horizon touched down, Elena took a deep breath. "This is it, people. Let's make humanity proud." The airlock hissed open, and Elena led her team out onto the alien soil. They wore sleek environmental suits, a testament to human engineering and preparedness. Elena stepped forward, her translator device at the ready. "Greetings," she began, her voice amplified and translated into the Zetan language. "I am Captain Elena Rodriguez of Earth. We come in peace and friendship." For a moment, there was silence. Then, to the humans' shock and confusion, the Zetans erupted in what could only be described as laughter. Their bodies rippled and shimmered, and a cacophony of clicks and whistles filled the air. Elena exchanged puzzled glances with her team. This was not the reception they had anticipated. One of the Zetans, adorned with more elaborate markings than the others, stepped forward. Its body coalesced into a more solid form as it addressed them. "Welcome, tiny Earth creatures," it said, its voice translated through the humans' devices. "We are the Zetans, and we find your presence most amusing." Elena frowned, taken aback by the condescending tone. "I assure you, our mission is one of utmost seriousness. We hope to establish diplomatic relations and share knowledge." This only seemed to amuse the Zetans further. They chittered amongst themselves, their bodies rippling with what the humans could only interpret as mirth. "Oh yes," the lead Zetan replied. "We are most interested in your knowledge. Tell us, do you still rely on such primitive technology?" It gestured to the horizon with a dismissive wave. Elena felt her cheeks flush with indignation. "Our technology may be different from yours, but it is far from primitive. We have crossed the stars to reach you." "Indeed," the Zetan leader chuckled. "A journey that took you, how long? Months? Years? We could traverse such distances in the blink of an eye." As the humans tried to maintain their composure, the Zetans continued to laugh and mock their appearance, their technology, and even their method of communication. Elena's team shifted uncomfortably, their carefully prepared speeches and gestures of goodwill seeming increasingly inadequate. Dr. Okafor leaned in close to Elena. "Captain, this isn't going as planned. Perhaps we should retreat to the ship and reassess our approach." Elena shook her head, her jaw set with determination. "No, Doctor. We've come too far to give up now. There must be a way to connect with them, to make them see us as equals." As the day wore on, the humans attempted various forms of cultural exchange. They shared music, art, and scientific knowledge, but each offering was met with the same dismissive amusement from the Zetans. By the time the alien sun began to set, casting an otherworldly glow across the crystalline landscape, Elena and her team were exhausted and disheartened. They retreated to the horizon, the sound of Zetan laughter still ringing in their ears. Inside the ship, Elena called a meeting of her senior staff. "All right, people," she said, her voice tight with frustration. "We need to figure this out. Any ideas on how we can get through to them?" Lieutenant Chen spoke up. "Captain, what if we're approaching this all wrong? We're trying to impress them with our achievements, but maybe we need to show them something different." "Different how?" Elena asked, intrigued. Chen hesitated, then continued. "Well, we brought along some Earth animals for potential ecological studies. What if we introduced the Zetans to them? Show them a different aspect of Earth life?" The room fell silent as they considered this unconventional approach. Then, slowly, Dr. Okafor nodded. "It's worth a try, Captain. At this point, what do we have to lose?" Elena looked around at her team, seeing the mixture of hope and desperation in their eyes. She made her decision. "All right, let's do it. Tomorrow, we'll show the Zetans something they've never seen before. Let's see if we can turn those laughs into something more productive." As the team dispersed to prepare for the next day, Elena stared out the viewport at the alien world beyond. The crystalline spires glittered in the starlight, beautiful yet forbidding. She couldn't shake the feeling that tomorrow would be a turning point, for better or worse. Little did Elena know, the simple act of introducing Earth's animals to the Zetans would set in motion a chain of events that would change the course of both their civilizations forever. Cultural clash. The alien sun rose over the crystalline spires of Zeta Reticuli, casting prismatic rays across the landing site. Captain Elena Rodriguez and her team emerged from the horizon, their faces set with determination. This time, they were accompanied by an unexpected diplomatic course. A German shepherd named Max, a tabby cat called Whiskers, and a vibrant red macaw known as Rio. As they approached the gathering of Zetans, Elena could already hear the familiar chittering of amusement. She gritted her teeth, reminding herself to stay calm and focused. "Greetings, Zetan friends," Elena began, her translator device conveying her words. "We've brought some companions we'd like you to meet." The lead Zetan, whom they now knew as High Counselor Zix, rippled with what seemed to be curiosity. More tiny creatures. How delightful. Do they also believe they can impress us with their primitive ways? Before Elena could respond, Max let out a sharp bark, startling the Zetans. Their mercury-like bodies shimmered and pulsed, recoiling slightly. "What manner of communication is this?" Zix demanded, its form solidifying in what the humans interpreted as agitation. Dr. Amelia Okafor stepped forward. "This is Max, a canine from Earth. He's highly intelligent and capable of understanding complex commands." To demonstrate, she directed Max through a series of intricate tasks, from retrieving specific objects to navigating an impromptu obstacle course. The Zetans watched in silence, their earlier laughter replaced by intense focus. When Max completed the demonstration by gently taking a treat from a child's hand, a ripple of something akin to applause spread through the alien crowd. Encouraged, Elena introduced Whiskers next. The cat's graceful movements and independent nature seemed to fascinate the Zetans, who had never encountered a creature that combined such agility with apparent indifference to their presence. "Remarkable," Zix murmured, its form shifting in patterns the humans hadn't seen before. "These beings have such diverse abilities, yet they coexist with you willingly." Elena nodded, sensing a breakthrough. "On Earth, we have millions of species, each unique and valuable. We've learned to coexist and even form deep bonds with many of them." As if on cue, Rio the macaw spread his wings and took flight, circling above the gathered aliens before landing on Lieutenant Chen's shoulder. The Zetans' crests rippled in waves, their equivalent of gasps of astonishment. "It changes its form to traverse the air," one Zetan asked, its voice filled with wonder. Chen smiled, stroking Rio's feathers. "Not quite. Birds are naturally adapted for flight. It's just one of the many marvels of evolution on our planet." For the next few hours, the humans shared stories of Earth's biodiversity, demonstrating the unique abilities of their animal companions. The Zetans listened with growing interest, their earlier mockery replaced by genuine curiosity. As the day progressed, Elena felt a sense of hope building. Perhaps this was the key to bridging the gap between their species. However, her optimism was short-lived. During a lull in the demonstrations, Zix approached Elena, its form rippling with what she now recognized as contemplation. "Your creatures are indeed fascinating, Captain Rodriguez. Perhaps we judge your species too hastily." Elena smiled, relief washing over her. "Thank you, High Counselor. We're eager to learn about your world as well." Zix's form shimmered in what might have been amusement. "Oh, but what could beings as limited as yourselves hope to understand about our advanced civilization? While your animals are intriguing, they only serve to highlight how primitive your own species is in comparison." Elena's smile faltered. I don't understand. We've shown you just a small sample of the diversity and intelligence found on Earth. Surely you can see the potential for meaningful exchange between our peoples." Zix's form rippled dismissively. "Exchange? What could you possibly offer us? Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your physical forms are fragile and unchanging. Even your most intelligent animals are but simple creatures compared to the lowliest of our kind." The other Zetans chittered in agreement, their earlier fascination giving way to a renewed sense of superiority. Elena felt her heart sink as she realized they had made little progress in changing the aliens' perspective. As the day wore on, the humans continued their efforts to engage the Zetans in meaningful dialogue. They shared information about Earth's cultures, sciences, and philosophies, but each attempt was met with the same condescending amusement they had encountered on their first day. By the time the alien sun began to set, Elena and her team were exhausted and disheartened. They retreated to the horizon, the sound of Zetan laughter once again ringing in their ears. Inside the ship, Elena called another meeting of her senior staff. The mood was somber as they gathered around the conference table. "I don't understand," Dr. Okafor said, frustration evident in her voice. "How can they be so dismissive of an entire planet's worth of knowledge and culture?" Lieutenant Chen shook his head. "It's like they can't see past their own technological superiority. They're judging us solely on our level of scientific advancement." Elena leaned back in her chair, her mind racing. There has to be something we're missing. Some way to show them that humanity is more than just our technology. As the team debated their next move, a soft meow interrupted their discussion. Whiskers had managed to sneak into the conference room and was now perched on the table, tail swishing lazily. Elena watched the cat for a moment, an idea forming in her mind. "Maybe," she said slowly, "we're trying too hard to impress them with our achievements. What if instead we focus on our capacity for growth and adaptation?" The others looked at her quizzically. "Think about it," Elena continued, her excitement growing. "The Zetans seem to view us as static, unchanging. But humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to learn, to overcome challenges, to evolve. We need to show them that." Dr. Okafor nodded slowly. "But how? We've already tried sharing our history and knowledge." Elena smiled, a plan taking shape. "We're going to challenge them. Tomorrow, we'll propose a series of tests, not just of technology, but of problem-solving, creativity, and adaptability. We'll show them that even if we're behind in some areas, we have the potential to catch up and even surpass them." As the team discussed the details of their new approach, Elena felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had come too far to give up now. One way or another, they would find a way to bridge the gap between their species and forge a meaningful connection with the Zetans. Little did they know, their determination was about to be put to the ultimate test, as forces beyond their control were already in motion, threatening not just their mission, but the very future of both their worlds. Unexpected allies. The following morning, Elena and her team approached the Zetan gathering with a mix of determination and trepidation. This time, they'd brought not only their animal companions, but also a variety of tools, puzzles, and equipment. High Counselor Zix, Elena began, her voice steady despite her nerves. We propose a series of challenges to demonstrate the full capabilities of our species. Zix's form rippled with what the humans had come to recognize as amusement. More entertainments from the tiny earth creatures. Very well, we shall indulge your attempts. Elena nodded to her team, and they began setting up various stations around the clearing. Each station represented a different type of challenge: logical puzzles, physical tasks, creative problems, and tests of empathy and emotional intelligence. We invite you to participate alongside us, Elena explained. This isn't about proving superiority, but about showcasing our potential for growth and adaptation. The Zetans exchanged shimmering glances before reluctantly agreeing. What followed was a day unlike any other in human or Zetan history. At the logic station, Lieutenant Chen faced off against a Zetan in a complex multi-dimensional chess game. The alien's ability to shift its form gave it an advantage in visualizing the game board, but Chen's strategic thinking kept him in the game far longer than the Zetans had expected. Dr. Okafor demonstrated human creativity at another station, challenging the Zetans to come up with multiple solutions to environmental problems. The aliens were surprised by the innovative and sometimes unconventional approaches the humans proposed. Physical challenges proved more difficult for the humans, given the Zetans' shape-shifting abilities. However, the Earth animals once again captured the aliens' attention. Max demonstrated incredible agility in an obstacle course, while Whiskers showcased feline balance and reflexes that even the Zetans struggled to match. But it was at the empathy station that the most significant breakthrough occurred. Elena had set up a series of scenarios requiring emotional intelligence and cross-species communication. To the Zetans' astonishment, the humans excelled at interpreting and responding to complex emotional cues, not just from each other but from their animal companions as well. As Elena worked through a particularly challenging empathy exercise with Max, she noticed a group of younger Zetans watching intently. Their forms rippled with patterns she hadn't seen before, something akin to wonder. One of the young Zetans approached, its form coalescing into a more solid shape. "How do you communicate so effectively with a being so different from yourself?" it asked, genuine curiosity in its translated voice. Elena smiled, reaching down to scratch behind Max's ears. "It's a combination of observation, patience, and genuine care," she explained. "We may not be able to change our physical forms like you can, but we've learned to adapt our minds and hearts to understand and connect with other species." The young Zetan's form shimmered with excitement. Could you teach me?" Before Elena could respond, Zix intervened, its form rippling with disapproval. "Enough of this frivolity," it declared. "While these demonstrations have been mildly interesting, they do not change the fact that your species is far behind ours in development." Elena felt her heart sink, but then she noticed something. Not all of the Zetans were agreeing with Zix. Many, especially the younger ones, were showing signs of disagreement, their forms rippling in complex patterns. Emboldened, Elena stepped forward. "High Counselor, with all due respect, development isn't just about technology. It's about the capacity to grow, to learn, to connect. Today, we've shown you that humans possess these qualities in abundance." A murmur rippled through the Zetan crowd. Elena pressed on. "We may not be able to shapeshift or travel between stars as easily as you, but we have our own strengths. Our diversity, our adaptability, our empathy. These are the qualities that have allowed us to thrive on a planet with millions of different species." As Elena spoke, Max moved to stand beside her, his posture alert and protective. Whiskers slinked between her feet, while Rio perched on her shoulder. The sight of the humans standing united with Earth's creatures seemed to have a profound effect on the Zetans. One of the older Zetans, its form shimmering with wisdom, spoke up. "Perhaps, Zix, we have been too hasty in our judgment. These humans have shown qualities that even we might learn from." Zix's form rippled with uncertainty for the first time since the humans had arrived. But their technological inferiority, is temporary, Elena interjected. What we lack in current advancement, we make up for in potential. Given time and the opportunity to learn from you, there's no limit to what we might achieve together. A long moment of silence followed, broken only by the soft whir of wind through the crystalline spires. Then, slowly, Zix's form began to shift, taking on a more approachable aspect. Perhaps, it said slowly, we have misjudged you, Captain Rodriguez. Your species has qualities we did not anticipate. Elena felt a surge of hope. Then you're open to further dialogue, to a true cultural exchange. Zix's form shimmered in what Elena now recognized as affirmation. Yes, I believe we are. There is much we might learn from each other. As the sun began to set, casting prismatic light across the gathering, Elena felt a profound sense of achievement. They had taken the first real step towards understanding and cooperation between their species. However, unbeknownst to the celebrating humans and their newfound Zetan allies, a shadow was looming on the horizon. Not all Zetans were pleased with this turn of events, and in the crystalline cities beyond, a movement was brewing, one that saw the humans not as potential friends, but as a threat to be eliminated. As Elena and her team returned to the horizon, filled with optimism for the future, they were unaware of the storm that was gathering, a conflict that would test the very foundations of their fledgling alliance and push both species to their limits. Rising tensions. The days that followed the breakthrough were filled with a flurry of activity. Humans and Zetans alike threw themselves into cultural exchange with newfound enthusiasm. Elena and her team were finally able to share the depths of human knowledge, art, and philosophy, while the Zetans began to reveal the intricacies of their own society. However, as the initial excitement waned, undercurrents of tension began to surface. It started subtly. Elena noticed that some Zetans would abruptly end conversations when humans approached. Whispered discussions in corners of the crystalline forums would cease, replaced by rippling patterns of what she now recognized as discomfort or suspicion. One morning, as Elena was discussing Earth's ecosystems with a group of Zetan scientists, an imposing figure entered the chamber. Its form was more solid than most Zetans, with sharp, angular patterns rippling across its surface. "Greetings, Arbiter Crix," one of the scientists said, its form shimmering with deference. The newcomer's gaze swept across the room, lingering on Elena. "I see our guests are still here," it said, its translated voice cold and clipped. Elena straightened, sensing the hostility. "Arbiter Crix, I presume? I'm Captain Elena Rodriguez. It's a pleasure to meet you." Crix's form rippled dismissively. "Is it? I wondered if you'll still feel that way when you understand the gravity of your mistake in coming here." Before Elena could respond, Crix turned to the Zetan scientists. "This meeting is over. Return to your assigned duties." Without another word, it left the chamber, leaving a tense silence in its wake. Elena turned to the nearest scientist. "What was that about?" The Zetan's form shimmered uncertainly. "Arbiter Crix is traditional. It believes in maintaining the purity of Zetan culture. Your presence here is controversial." As Elena relayed this encounter to her team later that day, they realized that the opposition to their presence ran deeper than they had initially thought. Lieutenant Chen frowned. "We need to be careful. If there's organized resistance to our being here, we could be in danger." Dr. Okafor nodded. "We should inform High Counselor Zix. Perhaps they can help smooth things over." However, when they brought their concerns to Zix, its response was not as reassuring as they had hoped. "Arbiter Crix's views are not uncommon," Zix admitted, its form rippling with what seemed like discomfort. "There are those among us who believe that interaction with less advanced species could contaminate our culture." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "Are we in danger?" Zix's form shimmered indecisively. "Not immediately, no. But it would be wise to limit your movements for now. Stay close to your ship." As they left Zix's chambers, Elena and her team exchanged worried glances. The situation was more precarious than they had realized. Over the next few days, tensions continued to rise. The humans found themselves increasingly isolated, with fewer Zetans willing to engage with them openly. Even their animal companions seemed to sense the change, with Max growing more alert and protective, and Whiskers rarely straying far from the horizon. The breaking point came during what was supposed to be a public forum on interspecies cooperation. Elena and her team arrived to find the crystal amphitheater nearly empty, save for a small group of Zetans, led by Arbiter Crix. "So, the invaders grace us with their presence," Crix's voice boomed across the space. Elena stepped forward, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "We're not invaders, Arbiter. We came in peace, seeking friendship and knowledge exchange." Crix's form rippled with what could only be described as a sneer. "Knowledge exchange? What could we possibly learn from primitive beings like you? Your presence here is a contamination, a threat to the purity of our civilization." The small crowd of Zetans murmured in agreement, their forms shimmering with hostile patterns. Elena tried to reason with them. "We've shown you that we have unique perspectives, different ways of problem-solving. Surely diversity can only strengthen." "Enough," Crix interrupted. "Your honeyed words may have swayed some of the weak-minded among us, but no longer. We, the purists, demand that you leave our world immediately." The situation was rapidly spiraling out of control. Elena could see her team tensing, ready for a confrontation. But before things could escalate further, a familiar rippling form interposed itself between the humans and the purists. It was the young Zetan who had shown interest in learning about empathy. "Stop," it cried out. "Can't you see? This is exactly why we need the humans. They've shown us new ways of thinking, of feeling. They've reminded us of the value of diversity." For a moment, silence reigned in the amphitheater. Then, chaos erupted. Zetans began arguing amongst themselves, their forms rippling and shifting in agitation. In the confusion, Elena and her team managed to slip away, retreating to the safety of the horizon. As they sealed the airlock behind them, Elena turned to her team. "This is bad. We need to contact Earth, let them know what's happening." But before they could reach the communication array, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Lieutenant Chen rushed to the control panel, his face paling as he read the display. "Captain," he said, his voice tight with urgency, "we're picking up massive energy readings from the planet's core. It's destabilizing." Elena felt her blood run cold. Whatever was happening between the humans and Zetans suddenly seemed insignificant in the face of this new threat. As they watched in horror, the ground beneath the horizon began to tremble, and in the distance, the crystalline spires of the Zetan city started to crack and shatter. The planet itself was turning against them, and in that moment, Elena realized that the true test of humanity's worth and the future of both species was just beginning. Part 5. Crisis and Heroism. The horizon shuddered as another tremor rocked the planet's surface. Through the viewports, Elena and her crew watched in horror as fissures began to open in the once pristine crystalline landscape, spewing forth plumes of iridescent gas. "Status report." Elena barked, her training kicking in despite the chaos. Lieutenant Chen's fingers flew over the holographic controls. "The planet's core is becoming increasingly unstable. These tremors are just the beginning. If this continues, the entire planet could tear itself apart within hours." Dr. Okafor's face paled. The Zetans, their cities aren't built to withstand this kind of geological stress. They're in grave danger. Elena's mind raced. Despite the hostility they'd faced, she couldn't simply abandon an entire civilization to their fate. "We need to warn them." Chen, try to establish communication with High Counselor Zix. As Chen worked to make contact, Elena turned to the rest of her team. "Prepare for emergency operations. We may need to assist with evacuations." Suddenly, the ship's communication system crackled to life. Zix's voice came through, distorted and panicked. "Humans, what have you done to our world?" Elena's heart sank. High Counselor, I assure you, we've done nothing. Our sensors indicate that the planet's core is destabilizing. This is a natural disaster, not an attack. There was a moment of silence, then Zix spoke again, its voice calmer but still strained. If what you say is true, then we face extinction. Our cities are crumbling. We don't know how to handle this kind of crisis. Elena took a deep breath. This was their chance to prove humanity's worth once and for all. We can help. Our species has dealt with natural disasters for millennia. Let us assist you. Another tremor shook the ship before Zix could respond. In the distance, a massive crystalline spire toppled, shattering into a million glittering shards. Very well, Zix finally replied. We accept your help. What do you propose? Elena quickly outlined a plan. The Horizon would serve as a command center, coordinating evacuation efforts and providing shelter for those whose homes had been destroyed. Meanwhile, teams of humans and cooperative Zetans would work together to stabilize the planet's core using a combination of Earth technology and Zetan energy manipulation. As the plan was set into motion, Elena found herself in the thick of the action. She led a team into the heart of the crumbling Zetan capital, Max faithfully by her side. The loyal German shepherd's keen senses proved invaluable, helping them locate Zetans trapped beneath fallen debris. In one particularly harrowing rescue, Elena and Max crawled through a narrow, unstable passage to reach a group of young Zetans huddled in a pocket of safety. As Elena coaxed them out, she felt the structure groan ominously above her. Go, she shouted to Max, urging him to lead the Zetan children to safety. The dog hesitated, clearly reluctant to leave her behind. It's okay, boy. I'll be right behind you, Elena assured him, even as she heard the telltale cracking of the crystal structure about to give way. Max whined but obeyed, guiding the young Zetans out just as the passage began to collapse. Elena dove forward, barely rolling clear as tons of crystal crashed down behind her. As the dust settled, she found herself face to face with Arbiter Crix, whose form rippled with a mix of shock and grudging admiration. You risked your life for our young, Crix said, its voice tinged with disbelief. Elena coughed, brushing crystal dust from her suit. Of course, every life is precious, regardless of species. Before Crix could respond, another tremor shook the ground. We need to move, Elena said, pushing aside her exhaustion. There are more people to save. As the crisis wore on, stories of human bravery spread among the Zetans. Dr. Okafor worked tirelessly alongside Zetan scientists, combining their knowledge to develop a method of stabilizing the planet's core. Lieutenant Chen's strategic mind proved crucial in coordinating the complex evacuation efforts. Even the Earth animals played their part. Whisker's agility allowed her to scout through small spaces, locating survivors, while Rio's ability to fly over the devastation provided valuable reconnaissance. But it was the humans' unwavering determination and selflessness that truly began to change Zetan hearts and minds. Time and again, Elena and her team put themselves in harm's way to save Zetan lives, asking nothing in return. As the hours ticked by, the combined efforts of humans and Zetans began to bear fruit. The tremors gradually lessened in intensity and frequency. Dr. Okafor's team reported success in their efforts to stabilize the planet's core. Exhausted but triumphant, Elena made her way back to the Horizon. As she approached, she saw a gathering of Zetans led by Zix and, surprisingly, Crix. Captain Rodriguez, Zix began, its form shimmering with what Elena now recognized as deep respect. We owe you and your team a debt we can never repay. You've saved not just individual lives, but our entire civilization. Crix stepped forward, its once hostile form now rippling with humility. I was wrong about your species, Captain. You've shown us the true meaning of strength, courage, and compassion. We have much to learn from you. Elena, too tired to maintain her usual diplomatic composure, simply smiled. That's what we've been trying to tell you all along. We're stronger together than we ever could be apart. As the sun began to rise over the battered but enduring Zetan world, Elena felt a profound sense of hope. They had faced an unprecedented crisis and emerged victorious, not through advanced technology or shape-shifting abilities, but through the very qualities that made humanity unique: adaptability, courage, and an unwavering spirit of cooperation. But even as they basked in the glow of their shared triumph, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The true test of their newfound alliance was yet to come, as they faced the monumental task of rebuilding a shattered world and forging a new future for both species. Turning the tide. In the days following the planetary crisis, the landscape of Zeta Reticuli B was forever changed. The once pristine crystalline cities now stood as a patchwork of gleaming spires and rubble. Yet, amidst the destruction, a new sense of unity and purpose had emerged. Helena stood at the makeshift command center, now a hub of frenetic activity as humans and Zetans worked side by side. The air buzzed with a mixture of alien whistles and human voices, all focused on the monumental task of rebuilding. "Captain," Lieutenant Chen called out, approaching with a holographic display. "I think you want to see this." Elena studied the readouts, her eyes widening. "Is this accurate?" Chen nodded, a hint of excitement in his voice. "Dr. Okafor and the Zetan scientists have made a breakthrough. They believe they can not only stabilize the planet's core permanently, but also harness its energy in ways we never thought possible." As if on cue, Dr. Okafor hurried over, her face flushed with enthusiasm. A Zetan scientist, its form shimmering with what Elena now recognized as intellectual excitement, accompanied her. "Captain," Okafor began, "by combining our understanding of geothermal energy with the Zetan's advanced knowledge of quantum mechanics, we've developed a theoretical model for a planet-wide energy grid. It could provide clean, unlimited power while simultaneously regulating the core's stability." The Zetan scientists' form rippled in agreement. "It's a solution that neither of our species could have developed alone. The potential applications are staggering." Elena felt a surge of pride and hope. This was exactly the kind of collaboration she had dreamed of when they first set out on this mission. "Excellent work, all of you. Let's present this to the Zetan Council immediately." As they made their way to the council chambers, now relocated to a sturdy ground-level structure, Elena couldn't help but marvel at how much had changed. Zetans who had once looked at humans with disdain or amusement now greeted them with respect and gratitude. Inside the chamber, High Counselor Zix presided over a gathering of Zetan leaders. To Elena's surprise, Arbiter Crix was also present, its form noticeably less rigid than before. "Captain Rodriguez," Zix began, its form shimmering with warmth, "we understand you and your team have made a significant discovery." Elena nodded, stepping forward. "Indeed, High Counselor. With your permission, Dr. Okafor and scientist Zrel will present their findings." As the scientists laid out their proposal, Elena watched the Zetans' reactions closely. She saw their forms shift from curiosity to astonishment and finally to excitement. When the presentation concluded, Zix's form rippled with what Elena now knew was deep contemplation. "This proposal, it's unprecedented. The merging of our technologies could revolutionize not just our world, but potentially the entire galaxy." Arbiter Crix, to everyone's surprise, was the first to speak up. "I move that we approve this project immediately. Recent events have shown us the folly of isolation and the strength found in diversity. It's time we embraced a new path forward, one we walk alongside our human allies." A murmur of agreement rippled through the chamber. Elena felt a lump form in her throat, overcome by the magnitude of the moment. Zix's form shimmered with resolution. "Then it is decided. We shall embark on this ambitious project together. Captain Rodriguez, your team has not only saved our world, but opened our eyes to new possibilities. We formally invite humanity to establish a permanent presence on Zeta Reticuli B as partners in this endeavor and in all future enterprises." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien whistles and human cheers. Elena felt a hand on her shoulder and turned to see Lieutenant Chen, grinning broadly. "We did it, Captain," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "We really did it." As the celebrations continued, Elena slipped away for a moment of quiet reflection. She found herself in a small garden that had miraculously survived the devastation. Max, ever faithful, padded up beside her. As she scratched behind the dog's ears, Elena gazed up at the alien sky, now streaked with the colors of sunset. They had come so far, faced so much. From initial ridicule to life-threatening crisis, they had persevered and emerged stronger for it. But Elena knew that this was just the beginning. The road ahead would be long and undoubtedly filled with new challenges. Integrating two vastly different species and their technologies would be no small feat. Yet, as she stood there, with the sounds of celebration drifting on the alien breeze, Elena felt a profound sense of optimism. They had proven that differences could be a source of strength rather than division. They had shown that courage, compassion, and cooperation could overcome even the most daunting obstacles. As the first stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, Elena smiled. Whatever the future held, they would face it together, humans and Zetans, united in their quest for knowledge and understanding. The adventure, it seemed, was only just beginning. A new era. 5 years had passed since the fateful day when humanity first set foot on Zeta Reticuli. The planet, once on the brink of destruction, now thronged with newfound energy and purpose. The scars of the Great Crisis were still visible, but they had been transformed into symbols of resilience and unity. Elena stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Harmony Tower, a breathtaking structure that seamlessly blended human and Zetan architecture. Its crystalline spires reached towards the sky, while its foundation pulsed with the clean, limitless energy harnessed from the planet's core. "Quite a view, isn't it, Captain?" A familiar voice chimed in. Elena turned to see Dr. Okafor, now the lead scientist of the Joint Human-Zetan Research Institute. Elena smiled, her gaze returning to the bustling cityscape below. "It never gets old, Amelia. And please, it's just Elena now. I haven't been a captain for years." The two women stood in comfortable silence, watching as humans and Zetans moved about their day in perfect harmony. Hover vehicles zipped between buildings, their designs a perfect fusion of human ingenuity and Zetan technology. In the parks below, children of both species played together, their laughter a testament to the bonds that had formed between the two civilizations. "The delegation from Earth arrives today," Amelia reminded her. "Are you nervous?" Elena chuckled. "A little. It's not every day you present the greatest technological leap in human history to the United Earth government." As if on cue, a sleek spacecraft appeared on the horizon, its hull gleaming in the alien sunlight. Unlike the Horizon, which had taken months to reach Zeta Reticuli, this ship had made the journey in mere weeks, thanks to the revolutionary propulsion technology born from human-Zetan collaboration. "Well, shall we go greet our guests?" Elena asked, straightening her uniform, a unique design that incorporated elements from both human and Zetan fashion. As they made their way to the spaceport, Elena reflected on the incredible journey that had led to this moment. The initial ridicule, the life-threatening crisis, the hard-won trust, all of it had paved the way for an unprecedented era of growth and discovery. The Human-Zetan alliance had already yielded remarkable fruits. The energy grid that Dr. Okafor and her Zetan colleagues had developed was now operational, providing clean, unlimited power to the entire planet. But that was just the beginning. Advances in medical science had eradicated diseases that had plagued both species for centuries. The merging of human creativity with Zetan quantum manipulation had revolutionized computing, paving the way for true artificial intelligence. And now, with the new propulsion technology, the stars themselves seemed within reach. As they arrived at the spaceport, Elena was greeted by a familiar rippling form. High Counselor Zix, now her co-leader in the alliance, shimmered with anticipation. "Are you ready, Elena?" Zix asked, using the informal human name with ease, a sign of how far they'd come. Elena nodded, a confident smile on her face. As ready as I'll ever be. The ship's ramp lowered, and out stepped the Earth delegation. Elena recognized world leaders, renowned scientists, and even a few faces from her old life in the space program. But it was the wide-eyed wonder on their faces that struck her most, the same look she'd had when she first arrived on this alien world. As Elena stepped forward to greet them, she felt a familiar presence by her side. Max, now grey around the muzzle, but still loyal as ever, pressed against her leg. She reached down to scratch his ears, drawing strength from his unwavering support. "Welcome to Zeta Reticuli," Elena began, her voice clear and strong. "What you're about to see may seem like science fiction, but I assure you it's very real. This is the power of unity, of embracing our differences and working together towards a common goal." As she led the delegation on a tour of the city, showcasing the marvels of human Zetan cooperation, Elena couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. They had come so far, overcome so much. The laughter that had once mocked them now rang out in joy and camaraderie. The tour culminated at the grand auditorium of the Research Institute. As Elena took the stage, she saw faces filled with anticipation, human, Zetan, and even a few of the animal companions that had become an integral part of their society. "Ladies and gentlemen, honored Zetans," Elena began, her voice carrying across the hushed room. "Today, we stand on the brink of a new era. The technology we're about to unveil will change not just our two worlds, but the very fabric of our universe." As she launched into her presentation, detailing the incredible advancements they had made and the limitless potential that lay ahead, Elena felt a profound sense of fulfillment. This was why she had joined the space program all those years ago, not just to explore new worlds, but to bridge divides and push the boundaries of what was possible. The humans and the dog who had once been laughed at as primitive creatures had become the catalysts for an intergalactic renaissance. Their journey had proven that true strength lay not in technological superiority or physical abilities, but in the capacity for empathy, adaptability, and cooperation. As her presentation concluded to thunderous applause, Elena's gaze swept across the auditorium. Humans and Zetans, standing side by side, united in their excitement for the future. In that moment, she knew that this was just the beginning. The universe was vast and full of wonders, and together, human, Zetan, and yes, even their faithful animal companions, they would explore it all, guided by the enduring spirit of unity and discovery that had brought them to this moment. The laughter of ridicule had long since faded, replaced by the joyous sound of two species united in friendship and purpose. And as Elena looked out at the faces before her, she couldn't help but smile. The greatest adventure, it seemed, was only just beginning.